Okay, hello friends. We are back again into the physiology classroom with our very much refreshed students, very much energetic. We are going to start the session, or at least, isn't it? We will be studying more for 6 hours, isn't it? 4 hours or something till midnight. Okay. So let us start the. We stopped at. I think we finished the reflexes. Okay, we finished the reflexes. Now see if uh, we had that vessel mechanisms which were controlling your BP, and we said they are working seconds to minutes. Seconds to minutes vascular. We said two shift mechanisms are happening. One is a capillary fluid shift. One is stress and relaxation mechanism. So vascular mechanisms, vascular mechanisms we have capillary fluid shift. So just remember minute to seconds. Oh, minute to seconds, not seconds to minutes. I hope I am with time, isn't it? Seconds to minutes. And the seconds to minutes we have capillary mechanism, capillary fluid shift mechanism, capillary fluid shift mechanism. And I hope you are sleeping. Stress relaxation mechanism. Stress relaxation mechanism. Stress, suddenly I have to increase the pitch because you people get to go to sleep. So stress relaxation mechanism. Simple, to make life simple, let us put a line in between them so that we don't make exaggerate this thing. Just have a concept. Capillary fluid mechanism or capillary fluid shift mechanism says if your blood pressure will fall as happened in the shock, you had that hemorrhage RTA accident person coming to you, his blood pressure is falling. Will his pressure in the capillaries fall or not? This was a capillary, and this capillary was in connection with the tissue. I have taught you in the first day that hydrostatic pressure is by virtue of fluid in the vessel. So this will be the hydrostatic pressure because of fluid is the blood. So whatever blood is putting a pressure on the walls, like you have a pipe at home and in that you have water, hydrostatic. So the pressure which is by virtue of that water in that pipe will be a hydrostatic pressure of the vessel. And here also there is some fluid, isn't it? There is also some fluid around the cells. Matrix isn't na? We have cells and we have extracellular matrix in between them, isn't it? And we have blood vessels supplying them. Guys, are we sleeping? Isn't it? So if you have thrown all the blood, at least this amount of blood has gone down. Are you decreasing the pressure on the walls, which was by the blood? Exactly. So this hydrostatic pressure will decrease. So your capillaries will be having a decrease in the hydrostatic pressure. Decreased hydrostatic pressure. Which pressure will now increase? So you had two. First, let me give an introduction. This was the hydrostatic pressure of the vessel. This is the hydrostatic pressure because you also have some fluid in the interstitium. Hydrostatic pressure of the interstitium. Now you have two pressures. You have hydrostatic pressure of interstitium, the fluid around the tissues, and you have hydrostatic pressure which was in the vessels. The hydrostatic pressure which was present in the vessels by virtue of the blood flowing into it was known as the hydrostatic pressure of the vessel, blood volume in the vessel. And this is the hydrostatic pressure which is because of the interstitial fluid. And now if your blood volume is falling, that will decrease the if you have a hemorrhage, that blood is going out and the blood vessel is having less blood. Now less blood means you have less hydrostatic pressure. And now, do you think the high interstitial hydrostatic pressure is comparatively more than the hydrostatic pressure in the vessel? Beautiful answer. You can understand now. So do you think that the vessel hydrostatic pressure was greater than first? It was greater than, for example, it was greater than the tissue tissue hydrostatic pressure. But now in hemorrhage, what has happened? Vessel hydrostatic pressure will go down because it was by virtue of the blood. Blood is not there, so you will be having a. So who is increasing? Who is increasing? Tissue, interstitium you should write. Interstitial pressure. Not tissue. Interstitial is the best word to use. Is it? Now this was the tissue vessel interface. This was the tissue vessel interface. Let me draw this for you. This was the tissue vessel interface. Let me make an interface. Let me magnify this image. Let me magnify this region. This region I will magnify. Okay, this region I will magnify here. Now this was your tissue. This is one tissue and it has fluid around it. It has fluid around it, interstitium, which is happening because of the pressure. You have high pressure, leaking is happening now. When you have high pressure in the blood vessel, you are leaking some fluid due to the pressure, and that fluid is getting accumulated around this normally, and isn't it? For the exchange and everything is happening. Okay, around the tissue there is some interstitial fluid, isn't it? This is a tissue cell. I have made a cell, simple cell. This is another cell around it. Okay, so you decrease this, this became less, this became less. What will happen? Which pressure is increasing? This pressure is increasing. Will the fluid shift from the interstitial space into the intravascular space? This is vascular. Will it shift? Beautiful understanding. Are we able to understand? Will it cause the increase in the blood volume? And will this blood pressure come to normal? Did you understood this interface? First the pressure was here high, that's why things were going through this. Now the pressure becomes high because blood is lost now. Now it will start coming back. Are we clear? How much is the volumes are added when this is happening? Approximately 300 ml. That is significant. 300 ml is added when this happens. 300 ml is added from the interstitial. Now you start giving the patient fluids. You start giving the patient, for example, Ringer's lactate, for example, and you then start giving him some plasma expanders. So what will happen? Will his blood pressure again rise? Okay, so that will again cause that shifting. Okay, now tell me, if now this was because of the hemorrhage, this was a hemorrhage case. Now we have another mechanism like this, and I am telling you right now, blood is more here. I have a high BP now. Now what will happen? This is a tissue and this is the fluid here. Now BP is high. BP is high, guys. BP is high. What will happen? Now shifting will start happening. The blood volume will start going down. See how beautiful nature is. How beautiful he has designed this. He is actually balancing. This is homeostasis happening, guys. That's why we said this is a regulation of blood pressure. Are we clear? So this reverse, whatever pressure you increase, that pressure will start shifting the thing to the opposite side. And reverse will happen. When you have a decrease in the blood volume, things will start shifting back. Are we clear? Now, this is what you have to understand. Did you understood? So you can write everything about this capillary, isn't it? Can you write by yourself? You just have to say hydrostatic pressure in the capillary is decreasing. Just simply, in case of acute hemorrhage, hydrostatic, let me write for you. Okay, let me write for you. Otherwise, you will start then, becoming angry with me, isn't it? So we should write this, okay? We should make like this. See, hydrostatic pressure. So I have hemorrhage. Just make small arrows. I have hemorrhage. Hemorrhage leads to decrease in the blood volume in the vessel. Please write the whole vessel should be written. Vessel decreases, that means it will cause decrease in the vessel hydrostatic pressure. Vessel hydrostatic pressure. Decrease in the vessel hydrostatic pressure will start shifting the interstitial fluid to the vascular compartment, to the vascular compartment, to the vascular compartment, to the vascular compartment, what will happen? It will add more amount of approximately 300 ml of the volume and expands the volume and wants to bring the blood pressure to the normal. But in case of increased BP or increased volume states or hypervolemia, in case of hypervolemia, what will happen? Increased blood in the vessel. Increased blood in the vessel means increased hydrostatic pressure in the vessel. Increased hydrostatic pressure means shifting now. Now shifting will happen from the vessel to the interstitium, from vessel to interstitium. That means maintaining the BP, lowering the BP, decreases the blood volume, decreases the BP. Are we clear with all the concepts? How we have repeated this 1000 times from the beginning of the lectures of hemodynamics. Everything I am correlating. That's why I built the fundamentals first. We worked more on the fundamentals. Do we remember the time when we were working more on the fundamentals? We had some tools in our hand and I told you keep these tools with you. Today you are able to understand the things. That's because of those basics and fundamentals. Are we able to understand this capillary shift? So this chart should be made in the capillary shift with the diagram if you want to save yourself in the exam and in the hospital. So stress relaxation mechanism. What is stress relaxation mechanism? Stress relaxation mechanism is, now you have a BP. You had a sudden rise, sudden surge in the BP. BP got up. What will happen to the blood vessels? You had an increased BP. You had an increased BP. What will happen? The blood vessels will become this much or not? Big. Will they get stretched? Will they get distended? Simple. It's so simple that even LKG boy will tell me. It will get distended because our BP is high, volume is high, so I am having distension. Will this cause a stretch on the vessel wall? Is it causing a stretch on the vessel wall? Stretch is there on the vessel wall. Will this stretch on the vessel wall stimulate the smooth muscles? It will stimulate the smooth muscles. Smooth vessels will say, we are big-hearted people. What? Smooth vessels say, smooth vessels of what? You know histology, isn't it? Don't tell me, sir, which muscle. Smooth muscles you have in the muscularis layer, isn't it? Tunica media, more vascular. Okay. So what will happen? They will say, don't worry. They will say, don't worry. Why? We have a bigger heart. We have a bigger heart. So what will happen? These blood vessels will relax. They will relax in response. So they will cause relaxation. When you relax, what will happen? You are dilating the vessel. Will you decrease the pressure now? Yes, sir. Are you decreasing the vascular tone? Yes, sir. We are decreasing the vascular tone. Now you tell me, I got a hypovolemia. I got hemorrhage. Or I have a shock state, or I don't have a high pressure. I have hypovolemia. What will happen? Reverse will happen, sir. No stretch. No stretch means, no stretch means they will say, oh, what is happening? Let us contract. So what they will do, they will contract. So opposite happening here. This is all happening as a regulation. Are we clear? Guys, are we clear? Very nice. So let us come to the next important mechanism, that is hormonal mechanism. Important, guys, important. Hormonal mechanism. Have we written the hormones? Have we written all the hormones? Let us make a chart. Let us make a chart, guys. Let us make a chart like this. Please first remember which hormones are vasoconstrictors. I will listen it tomorrow orally, guys. In the class, I want you to understand this. Vasoconstrictors and what are vasodilators in the body. Which things will cause vasoconstriction? Which things will cause vasodilatation? Have I written that? Have I written the things which can cause vasoconstriction and vasodilatation? I hope I haven't, maybe. Yeah, please someone speak. No, Gracia is basically those hormones. But did I tell you that which is vasoconstrictor, which is vasodilator? Gracia, I told you catecholamines, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Gracia. Let us write first Gracia for you. I know that is Gracia, my dears. I have taught you Gracia. Gracia is okay, but I am telling you, what are the vasoconstrictors and vasodilators from these? That's what is important. Okay, it's not adequate to remember what are and what are not. Okay, so please write some things which are vasoconstrictors, which are vasodilators. I will make a chart for you so that it becomes easy for you in the life to understand. Whenever you find that whether it is a vasoconstrictor, you will refer to this note. Okay, just make it like this. First, you should know under the hormonal mechanism. First, you should know. We are not talking hormonal, but just write first which things are vasoconstrictors. Vasoconstrictor is right number one, endothelin. Endothelin. This should be on the tip of your tongue as a doctor. Second, angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2. Third, norepinephrine. Norepinephrine. Isn't it? Is there any doubt understanding this norepinephrine is a vasoconstrictor? I hope you know from the brain. Endothelin I have also told. I'll be telling you the mechanisms, don't worry. Okay. Antidiuretic hormone, ADH. Number 5. Serotonin. Serotonin. Can anyone tell me which effect was related to serotonin? Which effect? Which reflex? Yes, yes, who can recall? Who can recall? I will give him a chocolate or her. Coronary, beautiful answer. Coronary what? Coronary vasodilation. Which reflex name, guys? Full. Chemoreceptor reflex. Very nice answer. Very nice, very nice. Beautiful. So sixth should be thromboxane A2. Do we remember thromboxane A2? Who was producing thromboxane A2? Yeah, from the blood physiology I've taught. Who was producing? Who can produce thromboxane A2? Who was producing thromboxane A2? Just write in, in continuity. Don't write one only. Just write in comma. I'm drinking water also so that we can get a good hydration status. My dear, platelets you don't remember? Don't you remember platelets? Thromboxane synthase. So at least you should speak one. Okay. Okay. So thromboxane A2. Neuropeptide Y. Neuropeptide Y. Eighth, cold stress. Cold, no cold temperature. Okay. This is just a concise list which I remember. Should remember too. Vasodilators will be histamine. Histamine is a vasodilator. Bradykinin. Bradykinin is a vasodilator. Brady means big. Big means dilate. Just remember like that. Okay. Brady means big. Big means dilate. ANP. What is ANP? Atrial natriuretic peptide. Atrial natriuretic peptide. Next. CGRP alpha. Next. Prostacyclin. Prostacyclin. What else can we remember? Substance P. Substance P. Potassium. Potassium ion. Acidosis. Acidosis. Hypoxia. Okay, so where does hypoxia cause vasodilation? Vasodilation in, where does hypoxia cause vasoconstriction? Pulmonary vessels. Pulmonary vessels. Remember, hypoxia is a vasodilator, but not in the pulmonary vessels. Exception. Exception here. Big exception from your knowledge. Pulmonary vessels, it causes constriction. Pulmonary vessels, vessels in the lungs. I have taught you guys. 10th. Adenosine. Adenosine. 11th. VIP. Very important person. I'll be teaching you VIP. Don't worry. VIP. And what else can we write? Increased temperature. That is hot. Increased temperature. Isn't it? Temperature will definitely cause. Acetylcholine. That's nitric oxide, but I won't put it here. Okay, I won't put it here. I will write ED. I will write EDRF. Okay, EDRF. Fine. What else? What else can we write? Hypercapnia. Increased carbon dioxide. There happens vasodilation. Hypercapnia. Wherever you have more amount of carbon dioxide, you will have vasodilation. That's happening in your skeletal muscles also. Acidosis in the exercise causes vasodilation. There are so many factors. Vessel type of receptors. Everything is so many things are there. Okay, don't get confused. So remember this chart for yourself. Let us do one thing. Let us write them here only. Let us write some points about them, whatever we know. Okay, let me shift this here. So let us write some points regarding these. So if I talk about norepinephrine, norepinephrine is a catecholamine. It is a catecholamine, right? It is a catecholamine, right? Like this. It will help you before your exams. The way you are making notes makes an impact on your brain. Catecholamines, they are vasoconstrictors. They will increase the heart rate. They will increase the cardiac output. Okay. And increase the BP. We are writing some things about who secretes norepinephrine. Nerve endings. Okay. Your sympathetic fibers. Origin is sympathetic fibers. But epinephrine is produced by adrenal medulla. Remember that. Okay. And some amount of this. Okay. What about this angiotensin 2? Remember, it is produced in RAS system. RAS produces it. RAS mechanism produces it. RAS production. RAS produces it. It is a vasoconstrictor, but a potent. I will teach you what is potency. It's a potent vasoconstrictor. Increases your BP. Okay. What it does also, this angiotensin 2 also leads to secretion of aldosterone. Write the way I'm writing, okay? Aldosterone. It increases the aldosterone. What? Two things, synthesis and secretion. Synthesis and secretion of aldosterone. Synthesis and secretion of aldosterone. What is the function of aldosterone? Sodium water conservation. Sodium and water. Because what follows sodium? Water. So water and sodium will be reabsorbed in the body. Reabsorbed in the body. Reabsorbed in the body. Fine. What is the other way angiotensin 2? Angiotensin 2 also increases your thirst. You know thirst? It stimulates thirst. Okay. And this thirst will tell the body to take more water. You will take more water in the through the glass, isn't it? Like I will be drinking. See, thirst center getting stimulated, angiotensin too, because I am in sympathetic activity. Wow, what a beautiful concept. Okay. See, I took I took water for you. Okay, water. And it also will increase the reabsorption of water from PCT. It will increase the absorption of water absorption from proximal convoluted tubule. I hope you know proximal convoluted tubule. This one, S1, S2, and S3 segment. Okay, S1, S2, and S3 segment of the proximal convoluted tubule. Leave it that way. Just remember PCT. Okay, then you get that loop of Henle, isn't it? So what about this? What else it does? Yeah, uh, vasoconstriction. Did we wrote vasoconstriction? Yeah, vasoconstriction we have written. What about what about? Let us write about ANP. Please write something about ANP. ANP is produced by atrial myocyte. Atrial myocyte. ADH, you know, it's an antidiuretic hormone. It's called also called arginine vasopressin. Please write. It's also called arginine vasopressin. Arginine vasopressin. What does it do? It increases the water reabsorption. Then you will have dash in the BP. If you are absorbing more water in the blood, dash increase, BP will increase. Okay, BP will increase, and volume will also increase. Okay, so you have two things. It is increasing the water reabsorption from the kidney, and it is also causing vasoconstriction. Please remember, it is also a vasoconstrictor. Okay, but it needs that concentration to act as a vasoconstrictor. Okay, I'll be teaching you in endocrinology, don't worry. ANP. ANP, please write ANP. ANP is atrial myocyte. It's produced by atrial myocyte. And atrial natriuretic means atria. Means atria, this atria. It's produced by atria. Okay. When you stretch the atria, ANP will be produced. So what do you think? Who can stretch the atria? Increased venous return or decreased venous return? So if you have more filling of the venous blood, what will happen? You will have stretching. Atrial, when this is produced, what this will do? Functions, ANP. What are the functions? It causes diuresis. It knows that the body is having so much fluid, so it will say to the body, okay, you have more fluid. More fluid is coming to the atrium. So atrium talks, he says, we should decrease the volume. We have more volume. So start diuresis. Diuresis means urination plus natriuresis means you are throwing the sodium out and you are throwing with it water also. Okay, what will happen after this? When you decrease the sodium and water from the body, dash, blood volume will decrease. Blood volume will decrease. Second function of ANP is it causes vasodilation. We have written it. So it decreases the BP. Okay, and we have also one variant of ANP in the blood. We also have, by the way, one variant of ANP in the blood. That variant is called sodium potassium ATPase inhibiting factor. Like we have ANP in the atria, same form we have seen in the plasma. We have seen that again, that type of a thing that is called sodium potassium ATPase inhibiting factor. Sodium potassium ATPase inhibiting factor. Okay, so this is in the plasma blood. It has been seen that what does it cause? What does it cause? Increases the BP. Do you know OA bean? Do you know OA bean? Sodium potassium ATPase inhibitor, OA bean. Do you know OA bean? Or you call it U bean? This Ubane, think it is equal to this factor. Same thing what an Ubane does to the sodium potassium pump in the heart is done by this sodium potassium inhibiting factor. It is present as a factor, like you have clotting factor, like you have factor 10, factor 9, same. So factor 9 has its own function, but I am talking in the sense of factor. Okay. Now, what else can we write which is important for our blood pressure? Bradykinin. Please write bradykinin like this. So bradykinin. So bradykinin is, it is formed from, the origin is HMWK. Sorry, let me correct it. HMWK. What is HMWK? Who produces bradykinin? HMWK means high molecular weight kininogen. Kininogen. Okay. Who will produce this? Now remember one equation I have taught you in the past also. If this is HMWK, if you put kallikrein on this, what? Kallikrein, you will get bradykinin. Okay, easy. And this kallikrein is formed from pre-kallikrein. Okay, is this easy way to write? HMWK is the origin. You put kallikrein on it, what will happen? You will have bradykinin. Okay. Sir, who converts pre-kallikrein to kallikrein? Factor 12. Important question. Who converts pre-kallikrein to kallikrein? Factor 12. What is factor 12 called? 12A. 12A is called Hageman factor. Fletcher factor. Okay. Hageman factor. Okay. Hageman factor. Fine. What is the function of this bradykinin? Number one, already written in the chart of vasodilator. So you should write vasodilator. Second, smooth muscle relaxant. Why? Because it can stimulate nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, you know, nitric oxide is a vasodilator. Do you know it already? Nitric oxide. So nitric oxide will be stimulated by this and you will have vasodilation. Okay. It causes increase in the capillary permeability. That is dilation. Increases capillary permeability. Capillary permeability. Do we know the angioneurotic hereditary angioedema? Hereditary angioedema, do we remember? I have taught you in the RBC physiology. Okay, just have a revision of that cycle. Just go to the coagulation cascade. In the coagulation cascade, I have connected the kallikrein. So watch that, that chart for your understanding. I will not make it here, speak here because the video will become big. So increase capillary permeability. Increase capillary permeability and will cause chemotaxis. Chemotaxis will be helped. Do you know chemotaxis? Yes, sir. Attraction. Okay. Now, if you make bradykinin from HMWK, HMWK can also produce lysyl bradykinin. What? By the way, lysyl bradykinin. Okay, lysyl bradykinin. But sorry, it is not from high molecular weight. I want to make a difference here. It's not from high molecular weight. High molecular weight kininogen forms bradykinin, but low molecular weight kininogen forms lysyl bradykinin. Okay. Again by the same enzyme. This is where I got confused. So kallikrein will be used here also. So LMWK, put kallikrein on it. You will get lysyl bradykinin. Clear? You will get lysyl bradykinin. By the way, where will you get this kallikrein? Kallikrein is present in dash. Anyone? Pancreas, intestine, kidneys. Salivary gland. You should have physiology in your tip of the tongue, my dears. It's important to be a doctor. You need to have physiology, full hold on physiology. Don't remember one or two things. Remember what is important for you being a doctor. Pancreas, kidneys, intestine, salivary gland, and what else? Prostate. I'm giving some examples, okay? Important for you. These examples are important for you. You will realize this in medicine, I think. Okay. What is the function of this bradykinin? What is the function of this lysyl bradykinin, by the way? Lysyl bradykinin, what it does is, it increases your perfusion. It increases the perfusion of the tissues. And inflammation role. It has role in inflammation. Okay. Fine. Clear? I gave everything here, whatever you need in your MBBS medicine. Okay. Let us write about histamine, guys. Histamine is a vasodilator. You already know. It decreases BP. That means who can secrete them? Origin. Mast cells. During any degranulation reaction, when the mast cells are degranulating, I will be teaching you immunology. They will cause dilation. Have you seen that when you have any flu or you have any pollen allergy, wow, what a dialogue, pollen allergy, okay, you have pollen allergy, what will happen? Do you see that you have running nose, you have post nasal drip, you have nose all watery, itching? That is because of histamine. Histamine is causing vasodilation. Can I give antihistamine as a drug, as a doctor? See, simple. Can I give antihistamine? Can I give cetirizine? Cetirizine. Do you take cetirizine? Do you take cetirizine when you have any sort of a nose? Cetirizine is an antihistamine. Okay? Cetirizine, phenylephrine, chlorpheniramine, isn't it? So these are all antihistamines. Okay? Just a pharmacological, so many things are there, but just giving for a pharmacological antihistamine. But these are H1 receptor. Okay? These are H1. These are H1. Okay? So will it cause hypotension? Do you know that when suddenly a person gets a bee sting, he falls, he can die because of hypotension? That's why this is called anaphylactic reaction, histamine release, sudden histamine release, anaphylactic reaction. You know, when you have sudden allergy, hypotension. Because yes, sir, vasodilation means diastolic BP will fall. Hypotension, sir. Simple. By the way, we also have some endothelins. What is endothelin? How many types of endothelin we have? Anyone? We have endothelin 3 types. Just right here. Endothelin. Endothelin is of 3 types. Endothelin 1, endothelin 2, endothelin 3. Endothelin 1 is formed from a precursor, that is big endothelin 1. Big endothelin 1. Okay. Think that this has a function is equal to endothelin. What is endothelin? Vasoconstrictor or dilator? Endothelin 1 is a potent vasoconstrictor. Okay. Now I give you 2 options in the exams. If they ask you who is more sensitive, artery or vein, directly write. Veins are more sensitive to endothelin. Take veins. Take veins. Veins are more sensitive to endothelin 1. If you want positively chronotropic action, tell endothelin. Positively chronotropic, positively inotropic. That means chrono means increases heart rate. Inotropic means increases contractility. Will it cause increase in the BP? Will it cause increase in the systolic BP? Yeah. Okay. So this is significant for you. Let us go to ADRF. Have you written ADRF? We didn't wrote ADRF. Vasodilator, I think. We wrote in the, yeah, here we have written ADRF. ADRF, how to produce ADRF? What is ADRF, by the way? You know nitric oxide? What is the meaning of ADRF? Endothelial derived endothelial derived relaxing factor. Endothelial derived relaxing factor. Okay, endothelial derived relaxing factor. No, you know nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, another name is ADRF. Remember that. Okay, nitric oxide. Nitric oxide was a vasodilator. How to produce? Which amino acid important? Which amino acid produces nitric oxides? Arginine. Important point, guys. Arginine produces. So from arginine, you will be using that nitric oxide synthase. Do we remember? Do we remember? And we'll be making nitric oxide. I'll be teaching you in physiology. Don't worry. Isn't it? You forgot. It's written on the left side of the page. I don't remember the page, but left side, bottom, it's written in Guyton. Very nicely he has written. By the way, which variant of arginine? L-arginine, isn't it? L-arginine is there. I think that. Okay. Is it clear? So what does it do is when you have this nitric oxide or you have this ADRF, what happens is it will cause relaxation of smooth muscles. Important point. Relaxation of what? How does it work? Smooth muscles of the vessels. Relaxation of smooth muscle. That mechanism I will be teaching you, CGMP pathway and everything. But here you have to write the functions. So you should know what is vasodilator, what is vasoconstrictor. And if you relax the SM muscles, what will happen? Smooth muscle vessels of your blood, you will be having decrease in the blood pressure. Decrease in the blood pressure. Okay. Fine. I will give you one statement. If you have EDRF, listen. If you have EDRF, listen. That's why I did not write everything. I want to make your life easy. If you have EDRF, then only acetylcholine can do vasodilation. If you have EDRF, then only bradykinin can do its action. If you have EDRF, then histamine can. They depend on this. If you have EDRF, then your VIP will work. If you have EDRF, then your substance P will work. Make life easy. They depend on this. They want him to do something. Please do something for us. Please, EDRF, please. I said, cell has, if you want ACH to work as a vasodilator, acetylcholine. If you want the bradykinin to act as a vasodilator, if you want histamine to act as a vasodilator, if you want VIP to act as a vasodilator, if you want substance P to act as a vasodilator, EDRF should be made. That's what I mean. They will only produce, these guys, these 4 guys, 5 guys will only produce vasodilation action when you have EDRF. But who is not dependent? Who is like us, self-sufficient? He says, I don't need EDRF. I am myself. I will work hard, eat my bread by my own hard work. Isn't it? That is ANP and adenosine. These 2 vasodilators don't depend on the EDRF for action. Are we clear with this, guys? Okay. There was another vasodilator, that is adrenomedulin. Have you written this? Adrenomedulin. Basically, there is a history behind that adrenomedulin. Okay. Adrenomedulin. See what happened, guys. Adrenomedullin, there was a tumor. The scientists were working on a tumor that is called pheochromocytoma. Pheochromocytoma is a tumor which is producing immense amount of this adrenomedullin. Okay, pheochromocytoma is a tumor. So they saw it was producing more amount of adrenomedullin, producing more. It was a discovery